Welcome to the city of dreams and dangers. Nairobi in the 80s and 90s was an intoxicating mix of electric dreams and palpable fears. The Green City in the Sun, as it was called, was a place where the streets were lined with jacaranda trees that painted the town purple in the evenings. A place where the air was thick with the scent of opportunity. Think of Machaco's country bus station arrivals, worn-out bags clutched tight by ambitious young men and women. Some had left the rural areas in search of a better life. Others were escaping troubled homes. All were looking for a fresh start, a new beginning. They came to Nairobi believing the streets held the key to their fortunes. The city welcomed them with open arms, or so it seemed. Nairobi was a city of contrasts, a microcosm of the world. It had its share of posh neighborhoods like Lavington Karen, where the rich and powerful lived. But it also had the crowded tenements of Eastlands, a concrete jungle where only the fittest could survive. For those who made it to Eastlands, the city's vibrant, chaotic heart, life was a constant struggle. The streets were their stage, and they were all playing their part. There were the hustlers and the scammers, the foot hawkers and the drug dealers. And then there were many the dreamers. The Kenyans, who refused to give up on their ambitions, despite the odds stacked against them. On these streets, you could make a fortune by day and lose it all by night. The line between triumph and tragedy was razor-thin. You had to be on your toes at all times. The relentless heartbeat of the city was a constant reminder that life here was a gamble, a high-stakes game where the winner took all. But for those who played the game right, Nairobi offered everything, endless possibilities. In the Nairobi city's crowded streets, amidst the clattering of antique typewriters and the Kenya bus service buses rumbling through the terminal, the air was thick with anticipation. The Marikiti market in downtown Nairobi was a hive of activity, a kaleidoscope of colors, sounds, and smells. Hawkers called out to customers in many languages, their voices competing with the rhythmic pounding of a nearby salon. It was on this unforgiving stage that ordinary lives played out in the most extraordinary ways. Some found love, others heartbreak. Some discovered fame, others infamy. However, whether they were immigrants from rural areas seeking better opportunities in the city or Nairobi natives, they were all united by one common thread: the relentless pursuit of their dreams. Nairobi, a city of dreams, a city of dangers. Let me take you on a walk, a journey down the legendary arteries of old Nairobi. Picture this: Accra Road, Luthuli Avenue and River Road. Luthuli, the electronic heartbeat of the nation. Stereos, cassette players, black and white television sets. The air was thick with the smell of new plastic and competing storefront music. It was a river of human traffic. Deals were struck with a handshake and a smile. Then there was River Road, a name spoken with reverence and caution. A labyrinth of workshops and hidden storefronts. You could get anything you wanted on River Road, from custom-made furniture to spare parts for long-dead machines. There was always a Jua-Collie artisan at work, hammering, sawing, welding, his face illuminated by the fiery glow of his work. The counterfeit goods thrived in shadowy corners, illicit deals whispered in dimly lit corridors. To navigate River Road was to understand the city's underbelly. And who can forget Accra Road, the gateway to the rest of the country? A constant coming and going of people and goods. Arrivals and departures, dreams and disappointments, all set against the backdrop of a sprawling, chaotic, unapologetically African city. These streets were the lifeblood of Nairobi. These streets were the heart of Nairobi. The only form of entertainment in Karamento was the jukebox, and the modern Green Club featured ladies with blood visible in their veins. They were the city's beating heart, brimming with the power of 1,000 dreams. They were the city's beating heart, pumping with the energy of 1,000 dreams. But they were also a dangerous place. If you were a first-timer, you had to be careful. You could get lost in the maze of narrow alleys and winding paths that made up River Road. Or you could get caught up in the throngs of people and never make it out alive. Accra Road was no less treacherous. The further you ventured from the main road, the more likely you were to get lost, or worse, mugged. But if you were a regular, you knew how to navigate these streets like a pro. You knew where to find the best food, the cheapest accommodation, the most authentic African experience. You knew how to haggle in the markets, how to strike a deal with a handshake and a smile. You knew the language of the streets. These streets were my playground as a child. I grew up in Nairobi, and these were my stomping grounds. I knew every nook and cranny of Accra, Luthuli, and River Road. I knew the best places to eat, the cheapest places to stay, the most authentic places to shop. These streets were my school. I learned the ways of the world here. I learned how to haggle, how to strike a deal, how to survive. These streets were my church. I heard all kinds of sermons here, from the Muslim call to prayer to the Christian gospel. I saw all kinds of miracles here, too. People coming from all walks of life, united by their need for a better life. These streets were my inspiration. I saw so much beauty here, so much creativity, so much resilience. I saw people making something out of nothing. I saw people helping each other out. I saw people dreaming big dreams and working hard to achieve them. Yes, these streets were dangerous, but they were also full of life, full of hope, full of the promise of a better tomorrow. These streets were Nairobi, and Nairobi was my home. And although I may have left the city will always be a part of me. This is the story of a city of dreams, a city of dangers, a city in the sun, and a story never brought to you before. So make sure you give us thumbs up, subscribe, and share our video. In the heart of Kenya, where the sun always seems to shine a little brighter and the air is filled with a little more hope, lies a city known as the Green City in the sun. But make no mistake, a dark shadow loomed over this green city in the sun. In the 80s and 90s, Nairobi earned another, more sinister nickname, Nairobbery. Crime was not just a problem, it was pervasive, ever-present. Bank robberies were frighteningly common. Masked men armed with AK-47s would storm into banking halls in broad daylight. They were ghosts, appearing from nowhere and vanishing into the city's labyrinthine alleys, leaving behind shattered glass, terrified staff, and a city gripped by fear. These were not petty thieves. They were organized, disciplined, and utterly merciless. The criminals of that era became dark legends, their names whispered in hushed tones. Wanyugu, Wakuku, Roster. They outsmarted and outgunned the Kenyan police then. They turned the streets into their personal hunting grounds. Their reign of terror created an atmosphere of deep-seated anxiety. People would enter a bank and instinctively scan the room, their hearts pounding with each passing second. The sound of a car backfiring was enough to send pedestrians diving for cover. Even the police, the very people meant to protect the citizens, were often outmatched and outgunned. The Flying Squad, an elite unit formed to combat these violent criminals, found themselves in a constant, deadly war. The news was filled with stories of officers falling in the line of duty. It was a time when Nairobi's sunny facade hid a darker truth. A truth that threatened to consume the city's vibrant spirit. But even in the darkest of times, hope perseveres. Despite the ever-present danger, life went on. The sun still rose and set over the horizon. People still went about their daily routines, trying to make the best of a difficult situation. For Nairobians, it was a test of resilience, a daily struggle to maintain normalcy in the face of adversity. It was a testament to the strength of the human spirit that even in the shadow of fear, life and hope continued to flourish. And so, the story of Nairobi, the green city in the sun, goes on. A story of challenges and triumphs, of dreams and realities. A story that continues to unfold with each passing day. Because, even in the darkest of nights, the sun will rise again, casting its warm glow on the city and its people, reminding them that no matter how daunting the shadows may seem, hope and resilience will always be the guiding light. Thank you for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more similar stories. Also, don't forget to check out the other videos on the DigiWide YouTube channel. In the heart of this bustling, dangerous city lived a woman hawker named Esther Wambui, of 47 years of age. She was not a CEO in a high-rise office, or a politician in a chauffeured Mercedes. No, Wambui was a mama of the streets, a testament to quiet strength. Every morning, before the sun rose, she walked to Marikiti Market. The sky was often dark then, not with clouds, but with the smoke of burning charcoal, a grim reminder of the lives eking out on the pavements below. At the market, she carefully selected the freshest sukuma wiki, the green-collared greens that were a Nairobi staple. Her weathered hands, a map of her life, sorted and tied bunches of sukuma wiki, each one a silent prayer for her children's future. Her day began at dawn, her small patch of pavement in Tea Room, River Road. It was a place of constant motion. The air was thick with the sizzling of meat from a nearby butcher and the boisterous conversation of early morning shoppers. Here, amidst the chaos, Esther Wambui found her rhythm. She stood out, not because she was special, but because she was selling something as simple as sukuma wiki. For many, it was just a leafy green vegetable. For Wambui, it was a ticket to a better life, a shield against the harshness of the city. She knew her customers by name, their families, their likes and dislikes. To them, she was more than a hawker. She was part of the neighborhood's fabric, a familiar and welcome sight. With her neatly tied stack of greens, Wambui was a small beacon of warmth in a city that could often feel cold and unforgiving. Her life was simple, her dreams humble, but her spirit was as tough as the city itself. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Esther Wambui returned home. Her day might have been long and tiring, but her resolve never wavered. She was not just a hawker selling sukuma wiki in the heart of Nairobi. She was a mother, a fighter, a survivor, a woman with a dream, a testament to the quiet strength that often goes unnoticed in the bustling streets of the city of dreams and dangers, Nairobi, a city where hope comes to roost and where despair sometimes takes flight. It is a city of extremes, of crushing poverty and eye-popping opulence, of heart-wrenching desperation and heart-stopping adventure. It was a Thursday, just another day in the bustling metropolis. The sun shone brightly, birds twittered merrily, and the street vendors hawked their wares with practiced ease. Everything was normal, and then, in an instant, it wasn't. The symphony of the street was shattered by a sound that every Nairobian dreaded, the sharp, terrifying crackle of automatic gunfire. The first shots sent a wave of collective panic through the crowd. What a scene! People screamed, people ducked. People ran in every direction, their survival instincts taking over. The air, moments before, filled with the smells of roasting maize and diesel fumes, was now thick with the acrid scent of gunpowder and pure, unadulterated fear. A major bank on the corner of Tom Mboya Street was being hit. A gang of robbers, their faces hidden behind balaclavas, had stormed the building, their weapons spitting fire. The street that was a river of life just moments ago had become a war zone. Shopkeepers frantically pulled down their metal shutters, the screeching sound adding to the cacophony of terror. The city's rhythm broke. Time seemed to warp, slowing down for those trapped in the chaos and speeding up for those trying to escape. Wambui, like everyone else, was swept up in the pandemonium. She dropped to the ground, her heart hammering against her ribs, her precious Sukuma wiki scattered around her. From her low vantage point, she saw flashes of the terrifying drama unfolding. The masked figures emerging from the bank, clutching heavy bags. The shower of sparks from their guns, the wild look in their eyes. The robbers were making their getaway, sprinting down the street towards a waiting car and their guns still blazing. Tom Mboya Street, the vibrant heart of Nairobi's commerce, had been brought to its knees. The once proud street, a testament to Kenya's economic and architectural excellence, now lay subdued, the harsh symphony of gunshots replaced by the somber silence of a city that had come to a standstill. The sun, which had been so bright just moments ago, now seemed to dim as if sharing in the sorrow of the city. The very air, thick with a metallic scent of blood and the acrid tang of smoke, bore silent witness to the trauma of the hour. Welcome back. Nairobi is a city of dreams, but it also contains many dangers. If you aren't careful, you might end up caught in the crossfire. So, if you're visiting, make sure to be aware of your surroundings at all times, and do not say, "We didn't warn you." Justice was Swift 19 years in committee maximum prison, charged and sentenced with 19 years of robbery with violence and possession of dangerous weapons. Esther Wambui stared at the towering frame of the high-rise building, its glass windows reflecting her own fear back at her. This was the last thing she had hoped for. The one thing that could have made her life better now stood between her and her freedom. She'd heard about this place, the city of broken dreams, where people came to make it big, to reinvent themselves and start anew. It was a dangerous game, one that many didn't survive. But for Wambui, it was her only option. She had nothing left to lose. The weight of her decision weighed heavily on her as she took each step towards the building. Wambui's past, a life of servitude and being looked down upon, was all visible in the lines etched on her face and the calloused palms of her hands. She was a legend in her own right, but not the kind of legend anyone wished to become. Wambui is now a well-known entrepreneur who has made significant investments in real estate and farming in central Kenya. Nairobi's legends weren't just made in the streets anymore. They were built in the boardrooms of towering skyscrapers, in the glittering casinos, and the shadowy corridors of power. It was a world away from the life she knew, a world she was determined to be a part of. But how do you become a legend in a city where everyone wants to be one? The answer, she knew, lay within those glass walls. Behind them, a life of luxury awaited, a life she could only dream of. There were rules, unwritten rules, that governed this new world, where once there were no CCTV cameras in Nairobi City to see what happened. Now, every corner is watched, every crime recorded. The game had changed, but the stakes remained high. To survive here, you had to be smarter, harder, colder. It was a world where emotions were a luxury, where loyalty was a weakness and trust was a myth. Wambui felt a surge of determination. This was her moment, her chance to rewrite her story. Despite being an hawker, she was ready to play the game, to become the legend Nairobi demanded, even if it meant losing a part of herself along the way. What would you have done in Wambui's place? Would you have risked it all for a chance at a new life? Tell us in the comments below, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts. And stay tuned, because next time we dive into the murky world of cybercrime and how technology is reshaping the financial sector. Nairobi's underworld is going digital.